What's up everyone? Welcome back to Burst Lab X. Today we're diving straight into another wolf hunt experiment, and trust me, this one's going to expose some things that the parts claim they can do versus what they can actually do in real battles. In the last video, we put stock wolf hunt up against the top meta and saw exactly where it shines and where it, pops itself into orbit for no reason. So today, we're taking that a step further. We're hitting the ground with 3 upgraded hybrid builds to see if we can finally turn wolf hunt into the best version of itself instead of a bay that explodes just by looking at it. So grab your launchers because we're about to stress test 3 wolf hunt stamina and attack hybrids, plus a surprise entry that honestly performed way better than expected. Alright, let's get into the builds. We open testing with Wolf Hunt, Assist Blade 560 Kick. This setup is supposed to be a balanced leaning hybrid, decent stamina, good counterattacks, and stable movement, in theory. Against Wizard Rod 960 Freeball, this matchup was tough. Wolf Hunt only took 3 wins out of 10, and almost all of its losses were straight spin finishes. Twice it self-KO'd, showing Kick's weakness when Wolf Hunt takes a bad angle. What is the big highlight here? When it did win, it was through strong over finishes and even an extreme finish, proving the blade can punch hard, just not consistently against high stamina opponents. Against Hover Wyvern 160 Kick, this matchup was much better. Wolf Hunt went 6-4 and showed strong control. Spin finish wins were reliable, but the losses came from burst vulnerability and occasional over-aggression. Against Shark Scale 170 Low Rush, this bay went 6-4 overall, but a messy one. Wolf Hunt scored extreme and over finishes, but Low Rush punished whenever Kick caused a tilt or a wobble. Against Phoenix Wing 160 Rush, this was Wolf Hunt's best performance with this build, going 8-2. It completely controlled center ground, tanked hits, and outspun Phoenix Wing over and over. Kick shines here because Phoenix Wing rushes too hard and burns its stamina. Kick gave it just enough grip to weaponize Phoenix Wing's own aggression against it. Easily one of this combo's best matchups. And finally, going against Cobalt Dragoon 560 Elevate. This is where things fell apart. Wolf Hunt only picked up 1 win out of 10 rounds, and even that win was an extreme finish. Every other round was a straight stamina loss. Elevate simply outlasted this build, and Kick cannot compensate. Wolf Hunt Assist 560 Kick is explosive but unstable. Great into aggressive blades, terrible into stamina blades. Next up is Wolf Hunt / 160 Rush. Theoretically an aggressive hybrid with better KO potential. First going up against Wizard Rod, this almost was a complete shutdown. Wolf Hunt only took 1 win out of 10, and that single victory came from an extreme finish. Every other round was a spin finish loss. The match against Hover Wyvern was a balanced 5-5 split. The wins mostly came from spin finishes and occasional extreme finishes. Losses were mostly from over-tilting on rush and getting pushed into bad angles. In the match against Shark Scale Low Rush, Wolf Hunt did not like this matchup at all. The 4-6 record, Rush, hates being tilted. The taller weight made stamina drop instantly. When upright, it battled well, but the second it leaned, it died. In the match against Pegasus Blast, this match was a 6-4 split in the Wolf Hunt's favor. Strong spin finish control, several extreme finish wins, but again, Rush caused self KOs and instability when it was launched too hard. Against Cobalt Dragoon, 560 Elevate. Another disaster. 0 wins out of 10 except for one extreme finish from Cobalt Dragoon, and that was the only highlight. Cobalt Dragoon drains the spin instantly. Wolf Hunt / 160 Rush hits like a monster, but gasses out instantly when tilted. Rush is absolutely not the optimal bit for a hybrid Wolf Hunt build. Now we get into the tank. Wolf Hunt Wheel 960 Ball is your defensive hybrid. A build that wants to stay alive and wait for openings to attack. Against Wizard Rod, again, this was a rough start. Wolf Hunt only won 3 rounds. Wizard Rod's pure stamina outclassed it, and Ball doesn't generate enough counterattacks. Against Hover Wyvern, this was a close matchup, but Wolf Hunt struggled with bursts and over finishes, losing 3-7 overall. During this match, there were multiple bursts and Wyvern hit from the right angle. The match against Sharkscale was a dominant matchup. Wolf Hunt went 8-2 with extremely consistent spin finish wins. It handled attacks well and countered it very cleanly. The match against Phoenix Wing was another strong showing. Overall, it went 6-4, it tanked hits, countered with over finishes, and consistently outspun Phoenix Wing. That was, unless we launched it a little too aggressively. Against Cobalt Dragoon, this matchup went 3-7. As expected, Cobalt Dragoon just stamina drains everything, and this version of Wolf Hunt was unable to keep up. This was the most consistent Wolf Hunt hybrid build yet. It had strong defense, good stamina, excellent control, but it was weak to pure stamina blades. Now we're on to the surprise build. Emperor Hunt Heavy 770 Unite. This build was the wild card. Same Hunt blade, but with the Emperor lock chip, 770 ratchet, and the Unite bit. And honestly, it performed better than any of the Wolf Hunt builds in certain matchups. In the match against Wizard Rod, it started out shaky, losing several spin finishes, but then caught fire halfway through the set. Over finishes, extreme finishes, and aggressive engagement that Wolf Hunt Kick and Rush failed to produce. Unite gave it enough traction to deliver confident counter hits. In the match against Hover Wyvern, this set was very strong. Emperor Hunt was sturdy, spun upright, and won the most engagements by spin or over finish. It only lost when Wyvern forced a tilt or pushed it out of the lane. Unite's hybrid behavior worked beautifully here. With the Sharkscale matchup, this was another great performance. Emperor Hunt held center and refused to burst. Even when Sharkscale stole a few extreme finishes, Emperor Hunt answered with consistent spin finishes. Overall, this was a great matchup. In the match against Phoenix Wing, this was a lot of back and forth, but overall very impressive. Emperor Hunt didn't get bullied the way the Wolf Hunt builds did. It absorbed hits, countered, and held stamina long enough to take half the rounds. For a hybrid build, this was extremely promising. And finally, the match against Cobalt Dragoon. Dragoon hit hard, but Emperor Hunt held up better than expected. Yes, it lost several rounds, but also secured multiple over finishes and even one late extreme finish. This was the only build today that managed to stand toe-to-toe with the Dragoon consistently. So after running Emperor Hunt's heavy 770 Unite through 50 full match rounds against the best we've got, Wizard Rod, Hover Wyvern, Shark Scale, Phoenix Wing, and even Cobalt Dragoon, the results are way better than I expected. Against Wizard Rod, we came in with 4 wins and 6 losses. Against Hover Wyvern, we came with 7 wins and 3 losses. Against Shark Scale, we came in with 6 wins and 4 losses. Against Phoenix Wing, we came in with 5 wins and 5 losses. And finally, against Cobalt Dragoon, we came in with 4 wins and 6 losses. That gives Emperor Hunt a total performance of 26 wins and 24 losses. A clean 52% win rate across 5 top-tier matchups. But more important than the overall score is how it achieved those wins. Emperor Hunt showed 3 standout strengths that none of the standard Wolf Hunt builds could match. First, it has incredible stability in long trades. Against Hover Wyvern and Shark Scale, Emperor Hunt stayed upright, refused to overtilt, and kept its stamina alive even under heavy pressure. Those back-to-back spin finishes showed exactly how strong the Heavy Ratchet and Unite bit are together. Second, it delivers sudden, explosive power when the timing is right. We saw multiple extreme and over finishes pop up in sets where you normally wouldn't expect them, especially against Wizard Rod and Cobalt Dragoon. Emperor Hunt doesn't swing like traditional attack builds. It builds momentum and punishes mistakes. And third, it's one of the hardest hybrids to bully. Phoenix Wing could tilt most of our other Wolf Hunt builds into early spin losses or burst risks. Emperor Hunt resisted that better than anything else we tested today, holding a clean 5-5 record against one of the strongest meta blades in the game. So the bottom line is Emperor Hunt is not a gimmick build. It's a legitimate hybrid contender. It won more matchups than it lost, held its own against the top meta, and showed better balance, tighter control, and way more win condition variety than any of the 3 Wolf Hunt builds we started with. So if you got an idea for what we should test next, maybe it's another hybrid, a full defense tank, or a crazy custom setup, drop it in the comments below and I'll get it into the arena. And hey, if you're enjoying this kind of testing, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel out, and I've got a lot more battles, breakdowns, and build experiments coming your way. This is Burst Lab X, where we don't guess, we test.